forgets to look at the right place actually. Just like as one is hungry, prominently one should go and look into the kitchen about food. One should not go to the bathroom and start looking about some food. When one is hungry, one should not go for a quest into bathroom. Is it that? So similarly, when one is mentally hungry, one should not go into the toilet and the bathroom of the material world to look for some food. But one should go to the kitchen of the Sangha of devotees where offerings of love are being cooked before the Lord. And there one should see that, can I get some share here and there? That is the point actually. That unless one is looking at the right place, one may land up in a problem. And the entire existence becomes more intensified with illusion. So, this is an important point which is being highlighted here. And a lack of understanding of this creates so many problems. Just because we are not looking at the right place. We are not hearing the right channel. We are not accepting the right framework. Like that. So therefore, it is important for a sadhaka to realize that materially, many times, situations are not going to get solved. And so therefore, the Shastras are encouraging us that when we are confused, when we are not seeing which way to take at that point of time, one should just peacefully sit down and wait for Krishna's signal and take shelter of the Supreme Path. Then wait for an inspiration, wait for an understanding, wait for the direction. Not that one takes on some haphazard, desperate step of whatever comes up. That is the important lesson here. And this is what Arjuna is doing, and that is what makes him qualified to be liberated. Prabhupada is stressing so strongly in the purport here that how Arjuna has the qualification of being a liberated soul. And he is such a noble soul. So, but what makes Arjuna the qualification is that although, so Arjuna is not taking a sporadic, instinctive action. I don't feel like fighting, I'm going. And he doesn't just jump down from the chariot and walk off. It might have looked very panoramic. Again, Arjuna is just leaving off and just walking off. And he's going. And people are wondering, "Hey, isko kya ho gaya?" So people are wondering, what happened to him? And Krishna is sitting on the chariot and waiting and saying, "This fellow ran away." So Arjuna is not taking an instinctive action. Arjuna is trying to figure it out, relate the laws and the whole material scenery and himself in that. And Arjuna, he is coming to the conclusion that, now what Arjuna is coming to the conclusion is that, I don't know what to do. So therefore this observation is very important, that when we get carried on by instincts, the effect will be entanglement. We get more caught up. But when we hold back ourselves amidst the instincts and understanding that what it is, which direction this instinct is taking me to, it is also wrong. Plus I am seeing no other action, because what is done to me is also wrong, and what I will do is also wrong. So what to do? If we come to the understanding or the analysis of what to do, and I don't know what to do, rather than succumbing, Shastras or Acharyas explain that is a sign of intelligence. Or rather, that is the beginning of intelligence. So when one comes to the conclusion that I don't know, and that becomes a fertile ground in which right knowledge can breed. Because on a platform of restlessness, knowledge cannot breed. So therefore many times when we just get shaken up and driven by the waves, the right knowledge will not breed. We will not be able to the right way of action. That is why Shastras are explaining to us, that as a sadhaka, what should be the practice? So, as a sadhaka, one should practice to, you see, the point is that now Arjuna here is practiced. Think about Krishna. Arjuna here is practiced to depend on Krishna always. Is it not? And now because of this practice is creating an insulation between the instinct and this practice is holding back Arjuna from acting in a different way. Right? Sometimes when people are driven by emotions, they become quite unpredictable. Is it not? One may commit violence on the other self, it becomes a very uncontrolled and unpredictable situation. So therefore, how to control that situation? Only in insulation can do. And whereas Arjuna is practiced, and that is the nobility and the qualification of Arjuna. That he is practiced to always depend on Krishna. He is practiced to depend on so that means that Arjuna has trained himself to get his excitation or activation from some or the other spiritual avenue. And that is the homework of a sadhaka. That a sadhaka has to train his mind and educate his mind and emotions to get their activation triggers from spiritual avenues. So that is a very good practice actually. That one starts any activity and gets triggered for any activity on some spiritual basis. And okay, before so this is a very healthy practice for a sadhaka, because he is practicing insulation in that case. It's just like one doesn't begin any activity before one does some solid sadhana or spiritual activity like that. Just like it is a good habit to start working after a very solid intense morning program where we have rounds. That is the best. And then we begin our day-to-day activities. Then we have got a very solid grounding. Now we undertake any action. Before that, it is good we pray. It's a solid grounding. Before that we do some spiritual activity. It's a very solid ground. Like that. So that means that it's a very solid ground. So generally, like one time one devotee was sharing with me that he used to go to company and at first half an hour he would do sadhana, like that. And that would give him a powerful focus, solid ground, like that. Uh, there is a caution here, we should do solid work after that as well. Then we can justify that. And the atmosphere should be supportive, or at least neutral, like that. Otherwise we can do solid sadhana before we go. Like that. And one has a solid ground, so sometimes devotees, the students, they come back from college and they do immediately some sadhana a little bit. And that gives a lot of focus and a lot of strength, And okay, what am I doing? What is this? Now the time coming ahead, what is the value of it? Where should I utilize it? Where should I offer it? It gives a very powerful focus, like that. So the habit of, getting our excitation, activation from sadhana. Obviously from spiritual avenues, sadhana is one of the avenues. From relationships, so devotee relationship, that is one of the avenues. So before any undertaking we share, with we share with some close devotees, like that, and get understanding, deeper understanding, get blessings, and we take it up, like that. So it's like a spiritual, avenues, and this kind of practice is what creates inspiration. We see this practice is very powerful. It's just like we see when Mahaprabhu did his pastimes, unmanifested his pastimes, and Raghunath Das Goswami was about to leave his body. He was not able to take it up. Now it's a very strong spiritual emotion. It's not a material emotion. It's not a wave of some anartha coming up or some agitation coming or some like that. It's a very strong spiritual emotion which is coming up. And Srila Raghunath Das Goswami wanted to end his existence. And but then what he thought is that, okay, I will die. But then because of a dependence of activation on some spiritual avenues, Das Goswami Pad, what he did? He said, okay, let me take blessings of Rupa and Sanatana. Because without discussion with them, how can I take a step? He wanted to commit suicide, end his body, because Mahaprabhu had ended his pastimes and unmanifested, and he was feeling, what is the use of my life, like that. So he wanted to, that way. So he wanted to end his existence, such a spiritual emotion, like that. And Mahaprabhu, and he's in the epitome of the mood of separation and viraha, and he's getting stirred off by that. But he thought, okay, I'm doing it, but how can I do it without discussion? So he goes all the way to Vrindavan. And he presents himself to Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. He says, Haribol, I need some blessings. Like that. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to Hare Krishna. Like that. And then Rupa and Sanatana are telling, how can I do this? And he said, how can I live? And then Rupa and Sanatana tell him, you can live. You sit at Radha Kund and you narrate Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Then that gave a new life to fantastic. And then he was narrating, because he was there, it was Sarup Raghunath. It was the boy of Sarup Damodar. Sarup Damodar's boy, Sarup Raghunath. So he had seen Mahaprabhu's pastimes, whereas the other Goswamis had not seen so many intimate pastimes. So he was there throughout Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And then when he started narrating, and the Braja, that way. So Kali Yuga means we need a lot of books, actually. The force is very strong, right? So yes, one may, so therefore actually, as a sadhaka, this should be the focus. Let me try to create more and more spiritual avenues, actually. which will more and more shelter those spiritual avenues. So that is so that now in this case what will happen is that a person, he understands that when he is not immediately swayed off, then one can think, now what should I do? I don't know what to do. And then the message is okay, if you don't know what to do, then you go to your avenues and books. Is it not? That is the point. And that is called as intelligence. So the beginning of intelligence is I don't know. So therefore Chaitanya Chandra describes intelligence means in this context, and intelligence means to know what to do when we don't know what to do. That is called as intelligence. This is what material energy does actually. So when we understand that we don't know, it creates an installation. And then where will we go? We will go to where we can know actually. So when we don't know, person look around, he will see, okay, no one is helping me. You know? And then he looks back, he is saying, I cannot step back. The situation is like that. I cannot step back, I cannot retrace my steps. If I go forward, it's a ditch actually, it's problem, like that. And no one is around. And I cannot, what should I do? And there it is said that there one can take shelter of the spiritual avenue. So that is said, okay, then one can look up. Isn't that? If we cannot look down, we cannot look back, we cannot look around, it is not working out. We can look up. That means look up, symbolic of prayers. Prayerful attitude. Prayer, seeking guidance. And this is what Arjuna is coming to. So we see now Arjuna is coming to this point. So the question is that, the fact is now that Arjuna is in a predicament, Prabhupada is glorifying nature. Very amazing. The reason is, we see how much Arjuna is churning the situation. So generally we see this is a sign of spiritual advancement. And generally we see, okay, there is a tussle which happened, like that. And we felt a rage and we shouted. Sometimes when we become violent, like that. And one, so he does it and then that's it. This explosion has happened, like that. So this is called a sword off, like that. But yeah, Arjuna, he is also feeling that kind of, the kind of urge he is feeling, like that. Somebody will be very disturbed, and he may just, put aside, bead bag or put aside, Bhagavatam or something like that. Arjuna is having a similar kind of urge. In that urge, he should have thrown his Gandiva into the air, like that, tossing around and all that, Again, you see the kind of urge, Arjuna is in that situation only, knife fight, दिमाग गरम हो गया है कि नहीं Is it not? And modern day people picturize Arjuna like that, and then Arjuna walks off and he goes, and he goes and sits, near some lake, in the forest, and he drinks Sprite, Cool. So, you see, Arjuna had a similar kind of urge. Is it not? But now you see, before Arjuna is acting, how much he is churning. How much Arjuna is churning, you see, that is the point. Shloka after shloka, analysis after analysis. Last chapter he churned 46 verses. है कि नहीं? Not 46, but no, the whole first chapter went in Arjuna's journey, and now again he is still journeying. Now मन में से अरे बाबा कुछ कर दो भी एक्ट बहुत हो गया है कि नहीं? You see how much he is evaluating from this perspective, from that perspective, this perspective, that understanding. He is evaluating perspective, but he is detached from the perspective. That's what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. You see, where is the detachment coming from? Not that he is evaluating the perspective and his emotion is so strong that he, control नहीं हुआ, He is evaluating the perspective. ठीक है, perspective ऐसा है, ठीक है, रहो उधर, अभी मैं दूसरा देखता हूँ, He is seeing another one, and he is saying, ठीक है, तुम भी उधर रहो, and he is another one, and another one, and another one, and he is seeing lot of perspectives, and he is seeing that कुछ जम नहीं रहा है, like that. And then he is saying, okay, that means I don't. You see, this is detachment. Is it not? This is detachment. And this comes to a very solid practice. This comes by very solid practice. And that is why Prabhupada is calling Arjuna virtuous. And Prabhupada makes a statement, the fact that Arjuna can think of begging is amazing. Because if Arjuna is determined to beg, he can beg. Obviously, it may lead to some other consequences Krishna is showing him. But from Arjuna's side, he can beg, because he's a person of caliber, he's a person of integrity, is it not? And the very fact that he can think of begging means amazing. How detached. So this is the prerequisite actually, that a devotee in one sense we see that because Arjuna is ready for any undertaking, he is qualified. Therefore you see, on a spiritual frontier, the qualification to enter into spiritual frontier is also similar. The readiness for any undertaking. No matter what. So you see, Arjuna is ready for the undertaking. Now we try to see that Arjuna is really genuinely trying to move forward, and he is a devotee, and he is a very noble person, and he is an enlightened soul. He has knowledge, he has understanding, he has qualities, he has heart, he has a very broad vision, he has all the skills what one can dream of. And with all his best, he has come to some understanding of doing something. So that is the situation of Arjuna, that with all his best, he has come to the understanding to take some action. And now with all his understanding and his best trials, he is understanding, okay, let us beg. So that means that now Arjuna's understanding is what? Now Arjuna may be understanding from the parameters of what is the best possible service at this point of time, what will be pleasing to the Lord, what will be the mission of the Lord, and everything included in that. Because Arjuna, of all his best, he has come to this point. That's what Prabhupada is very happy. That look what he is ready to do. Is it not? Right? So look what he is ready to do. That's what Prabhupada is pointing out. And Arjuna, he is ready to do begging. If that is what is required, if that is what is the best service at an hour, Arjuna is even ready to do that. What a soul. So many times in life this situation happens, that we may have to take a step of what is best possible by our understanding, by what we have learned and realizations and whatever inputs we have got, and all of a sudden on the spur of the moment it may not be possible to immediately get an understanding from some spiritual avenues, like that, of shelter. Arjuna had an option, therefore he presented. But suppose one doesn't have an option, then what one have to do? So in that case, whatever is the best in one's understanding, one can take a step. And Krishna will help. Because Krishna is there without also, within also. When without there is no shelter, Krishna will help from within. And when there are shelters without, Krishna will help from within to connect the shelters to without. Like that. And the without shelters will help to connect to within. So this is reciprocation which takes place. That. And therefore, as Radhanath Maharaj says, that when we have avenues to consult and take guidance, and we have the practice, then when we don't have avenue, Krishna will be. That is a point.
And sometimes so many thoughts on your mind, different mental. So what is the difference between journaling and those thoughts which come into that situation?
Churning means we apply, we have something and we apply and we see through that what it is. That's called as churning. Mental means simulation. Right? Churning means we catch hold of some higher source of knowledge, experience which can give us a better vision, and we apply that world view into the situation and see how it looks. That is called as churning. Mental means we are just simulating. I call it mental. That okay, bad thought came and one is just putting himself in the bad thought and the movie is going on and one is enjoying. That's called as mental. But churning means a bad thought comes and then one is seeing this bad thought, this thought has come, how does this thought look? From what perspective you are looking? Like that. So one says, okay, what perspective? How does it look from Shastras? That's one way. That's called as churning. How does it look? Like that. That's called as churning. So churning means you use a particular churning requires something, some weapon by which we see, some tool by which which we are using to get the vision. That's called as churning. Right? Is it? So you got the point, right? So mental means we are just putting ourselves. It's as mental. Mental means that we are almost. It's as good as getting swayed off physically. Mental is as good as that because then we are not applying any algorithm. Churning means we have some support and we are applying that to see how it fits. How does it look? Is it not? Should I do it? Should I not do it? That's called as churning. You understand? So just flowing with the thought, that's mental. When we use these higher algorithms, that's churning. Makes sense? Yeah. So we'll go to the next verse. कार्पण्य दोषो बहत स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म समूढचेता यच्छ्रेयस्यां निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शादी मां त्वा प्रपन्नम्. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So what is Arjuna showing here? He sits down and he clasps the lotus feet. He says, unless I get a proper understanding, no action. Is it that? No getting swayed off. We will act under it. So that is the state of Arjuna here, and he knows, he wants to know for certain what is best for him. Prabhupada gives a very powerful purport here, which is focused on perplexities. Prabhupada is talking about perplexities in the purport. If we flow to the purpose. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without getting set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that the perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, and yet it takes place and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in a disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. So material world is like roadways. Any road you take, there is traffic jam. So you get jammed and you are not able to move forward. This is the meaning of perplexity. You get completely jammed because so many vehicles of material desires have come, and they have completely choked their motion. You don't know, you cannot move anywhere. There's one motion like that. So this is the meaning of perplexity actually. So what is the solution? You don't go by roadways, you take a flight, like that. That is the point actually. So this is what happens when one's vision changes. Change of vision means we are adopting a different plane altogether where we can move. And there is no traffic jam. It's all clear. No problem, no question of accidents. Is it that? So it goes. Is it that? So that is the meaning of taking shelter of a spiritual master. Or in general, that is the meaning of actually taking shelter. That we are taking ourselves, or we are propelling ourselves to a different dimension. It gives us a completely different vision of what is reality. So many a times perplexity is a product of perception. Because It's like, see, the point is what, right? It's like that we try to solve a problem which cannot be solved. You know? Then what is going to happen? Is perplexity. Is it not? So material life is a problem which cannot be solved. And therefore, whatever we do, one is perplexed. Is it not? So, while we are saying that it cannot be solved, it's just like so when Prabhupada says here that by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. So the system of material activities is perfect. The living entity is also perfect. But both of them act in... So the material world is perfect in the sense that it is perfect illusion to the living entity. You know? So the perfect living entity is put into perfect illusion. You know? Right? That's what... So in that sense the material nature is perfect actually. And material arrangement is perfect. So where is the imperfectness? The imperfectness is that the devotee, that the living entity's perfectness is in a particular, subjected to a particular condition, and the condition is the condition of spiritual existence in communion with the Lord. The living entity's perfectness is realized in communion with the Lord, is it not? If that is taken off, there is no meaning to a devotee's perfectness. So so material world, one doesn't see himself as perfect, but the perfectness drive is there, and that drives one to prove himself to be perfect. In a plane, so the problem statement with the living entity everyone is answering is trying to prove himself perfect in a plane which doesn't relate to his sense of perfectness at all. Is it not? So that's a problem which can never be solved. That's a problem which can never be solved. Just like a mathematician trying to prove his perfectness, to some aquatics inside water. It doesn't make any sense, is it not? Because the plane is different, the dimension is different. And we see actually this is exactly what material world is, right? So when we are in connection with Krishna, we will experience perfectness. We will experience perfectness. And when we are dissociated with the Supreme Lord, we will experience imperfectness. Therefore we see material world, how does it start? It starts and ends with the same story, It starts with the story that one is imperfect, you don't know anything. That's how a person starts, And a person, when he thinks, but he doesn't know what to do in this world, because there seems to be a different atmosphere, isn't that? And therefore, now one says, okay, I will enter this particular dimension or this particular framework and I will try to prove myself in there, is it not? Therefore, you see people when they take birth, in whatever situation they are in, they adopt that worldview, is it not? They adopt that lifestyle. Now somebody is, say, okay, we say a tick, and so many people are born in this tick, is it not? And somebody is born in Bengal, and he starts speaking Bengali after 1.5 years, And he is, and if you ask him, ki khabe, and he says, modi khabe, hai ki nahi? And somebody, at the same take, he is born somewhere in Europe, hai ki nahi? And he starts speaking French, hai ki nahi? Or German, his taste, his mannerisms, his activities, his outlooks, everything differs, isn't that? This goes to show that a living entity neither belongs to Bengal nor it belongs to Germany, like that. But just that sense or that awareness of imperfectness is propelling the living entity to enter an illusory framework and adopt it and revert to that and then try to prove in that I am something. Is it that? So if you can analyze that, this is exactly how it is. Is it not? Therefore, living entity takes up anything and everything. Is it not? You see how much the living entity struggles for survival. And this is what we call as the struggle for survival, to prove oneself. One is imperfect and one tries to prove himself. Is it not? And then what happens? All of a sudden times change. And the times are saying, hey, you don't know anything. And person says, I don't know anything. Then again he is ready to dive into another framework of illusion. Is it not? Because if you remain in one framework, after some time you will realize that the framework is illusory. Because illusion is illusion. How long the illusion will hold? Is it that? So what Mayadevi does is that it shows another framework. It says, okay, you don't know anything. Therefore you are suffering. So you take this next one. Is it that? So therefore one is born with that, and many times one dies with that also. Just like I remember my grandfather having one very strong remorse, and he would see my sister who was a computer engineer, and my grandfather would say, alas, alas, there is one thing in this life which I didn't know. No, computer education. And he said, next life I will learn computer. So it's like, you started with an imperfectness and now again you are ending your life with imperfectness, is it not? And this is the case, he was saying, alas, in this life I never got any acquaintance with computers. And that is the fact end of life. So you start with imperfectness and you end with imperfectness, what do you do? This is called as time pass. Isn't that? Right? So therefore, actually, that is why we see that the system of this material world always gives perplexity. But always, one is moving so much, but there is no motion. Instead of motion, there is commotion. So what to do now? Is it not? So much of motion, but only commotion. Where to do, what to do, where to go. The problem is very intrinsic. Therefore, Prabhupada is not discussing or analyzing perplexities. Prabhupada is not giving a lecture here that perplexities of four kinds, this, that, and the tips, beginning. Prabhupada is saying the perplexities, there is only one, there is one reason behind. Don't worry about the kind. Don't worry about the kind. There's only one reason behind. Therefore, don't remain blind. A spiritual master you find. This is the message here. There is only one reason behind action. The living entity experience perfectness in communion with the Lord. And that perfectness is very unique for every living entity. So one who is feeling satisfied doesn't have to prove himself so. Is it not? One who is nicely fed, he's feeling strong, energetic, doesn't have to prove himself so. Is it not? Proving is a sign of hunger, starvation. Therefore one is becoming defensive. Is it not? Doesn't have to prove himself so. Therefore a devotee never tries to prove himself so. Is it not? And therefore Mahaprabhu is telling Kulavecha Shridhar that you have a great wealth, which you are hiding, and you are cheating the whole world, and you are acting as if you don't have anything, and you are in rags and nothing, but you are a wealthy man. One day I will expose the city of yours. One day I will expose all your wealth to the whole world for them to see. And therefore in Mahaprabhu's Leela, when Mahaprabhu is taking the name Polavecha Sridhar, even Mahaprabhu's associates don't know who is he. Like many times, one is hankering for recognition in service. But okay, I will do seva, but I should have recognition. Just imagine Kolavecha Sridhar, he was such an intimate associate with Krishna. How intimate? Mahaprabhu would spend 2 hours every day. 2 hours every day bargaining and telling all kinds of stories and logic to Kolavecha Sridhar. 2 hours every day. We spend 2 hours in japa. That is the sum and bonum of our spiritual life. Our whole spiritual life rests on 2 hours of japa. And to come out of that shock, there is some Mangal Arati where we can dance and ease our body. It's okay. It's like that, right? So 2 hours means a lot actually. It's a morning program. Our whole spiritual life just depends on that. So we call ourselves devotees because of those 2 hours only. बाकी तो ज़्यादा कुछ different दिखता नहीं है Is it not? Right? Mahaprabhu spent 2 hours with such an intimate associate. And even Mahaprabhu's internal associates don't know about Sridhar. And Mahaprabhu had to give Google Maps how to reach to Sridhar. Like that. And he says, this way. You can find Sridhar. So the point is that the pathway to experience perfectness is internalization of one's connection with the Lord. Then one doesn't have to prove himself to anyone. One doesn't have to do anything. And therefore you see, now if you ask Sridhar what is your aspiration, Mahaprabhu is telling Sridhar, you ask something. And Sridhar is saying, no. Mahaprabhu is telling Sridhar, you ask something. And what Sridhar is telling? I just want that Nimai, I just want that Nimai, who's bargaining with me. That beautiful form of the Lord of Nimai who is bargaining with me over slices of banana leaves. That is the vision I want always in my life. So this is called as perfectness. The Sridhar is perfect. Is it not? And we see every Acharya in that way. Yesterday we were hearing of Sudama, the florist. Yeah. And so before that Sudama the florist. And he just offered that garland to Krishna because that is what he had. And he said, this is yours. Take it. And then we heard about the Alvar, Vishnu Chitta, who hearing this decided that throughout his life he will just cultivate flowers and offer garlands. You're getting? Is it not? And he would just offer garlands actually, that way. So I was just wondering that Vishnu Chitta, he might be, he was staying in some, he had some deities. But we see in previous times, anybody would have deities. You see, all acharyas have deities. If you go to Vrindavan, in 10 steps you take, or 15-20 steps you take is another temple and another acharya's home, is it not? Like that. And there are deities, like that, is it not? So which means what? That, Vishnu Chitta, he had dedicated that, throughout his life he just grew flowers and offered those garlands to the Lord. Vattapatra Shai Vishnu. Vattapatra Shai Krishna. Like that. It's a baby Krishna, sucking his thumb on the banyan tree. What a picture. So we were just repeating that probably how many visitors will be coming to his temple, like that. And I was wondering that maybe probably nobody, look at it. Isn't that? And he's so satisfied. And that is the goal of his life. Isn't that? And then Krishna sent him a girl, and then he was just serving the girl. That became the Chandal. So, and I was just meditating that, it's similar to the situation, we are here in Aripur, no visitor here, like that. But then we have Lord Gopchan, Lord Nidai Chan, and we just serve them, That's what it is actually. To serve the Lord. To reinstate ourselves in a position of service to the Lord. To see service to Krishna and the Vaishnavas as one's life, and to see life through that. That is perfectness. And to do that, we need to transcend to a different plane. So that is why one should approach a spiritual master, which is what is explained here so powerfully. So then Prabhupada goes on to describe the difference between a Brahman and a Kripana. Who is a man in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the perplexed man is described as follows. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human, and thus quits this world like cats and dogs, without understanding the science of self-realization. This human life is the most valuable asset for the living entity, who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is a Brahmana, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize this body to solve all the problems of life. The Kripanas or miserly persons waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc. in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, to wife, children, and other members based on skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in lower animals who care for children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. So that is the point which qualifies Arjuna for the Supreme Mercy. Because the point is that although Arjuna was getting an urge, but he was not getting swayed off, because he had a practice, he was getting a vision that, yes, seems that this is not so problem. It is not. Stopping Arjuna. So here Arjuna, on one hand, he was not wanting to kill, but on the other hand, he was understanding that these people are creating havoc in the world actually, because of spreading their atheistic, demoniac mentalities. What will happen to the world if these people continue? So that aspect was also there in his knowledge, and therefore he was not moving. Is it that? Just like if there is a force this way, there has to be an equal amount of force that way. That means there is no motion. Is it that? Otherwise one will be swayed off. Is it that? So yes, Arjuna Prabhupada is explaining here. Arjuna is intelligent, so therefore he is understanding that this is what is the cause of his perplexity. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of weakness he could not discharge the duty. Therefore he is asking Lord Krishna to make a definite solution. He offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between master and disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. how Arjuna understands Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself. And yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without. And one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, so the message of Gita, starts, so basically it's like the message of Gita, is that what? That don't remain a fool to join the school, the school where one learns how to change one's vision. That is the school of the spiritual master. That one learns how to change one's vision, how to change one's perspectives. So that so school is meant for some journey and some learning, okay, and right, and that solves the burning, So that's how the yeah. So when one goes to school, one can be cool, as Prabhu is saying. So you see, Arjuna is going to become very cool, and Arjuna will say, okay, sarva dharman parityajya, no problem. I namavikam sharanam. No, Arjuna is saying that. That is what Krishna is saying. Then Arjuna is saying, that whatever you say, I am ready to do. Okay. So one becomes very cool actually by that. Therefore, what we understand here is that that connection to the spiritual master. What is the meaning of connecting to a spiritual master? The meaning, so the connection of spirit to a spiritual master makes sense only when that connection is revived when we face situations in life. So which means that one who takes the tulasi beads and wears 3 lines of Kandimala is not exactly a disciple. But one who, so that means that, so initiation means what? That we are receiving the grace of the Lord from the spiritual master. Again, we are receiving a new connection, a new relationship. What is the meaning of initiation? The spiritual master gives a new name. New name means what? That you are inducted into the family of Vaishnavas officially, and you have a name, and everybody calls you by that name, and you see through that name, and you see through again. And so that means that the spiritual master is creating a new identity. Is it not? It's symbolic. This ceremony is symbolic of that aspect. Is it not? The spiritual master is creating a new identity, a new connection. And what he is offering? He is offering these. He is offering the holy name. He is offering the process again. And he is asking for some vows. I will do this. I will not do this. Is it not? Right? So that is the meaning of initiation. Is it not? And that everybody is celebrating. New identity. Is it not? It's not new, but it is our new awareness of our eternal identity. Again. It's not new, it's renew. Again. It's a renew actually. Not a fool, okay, this life you are so and so das. Again. Now you are Krishna das. Again. Right? So it's renew actually. That is a new thing. That after so long of a pathetic, horrible, performance, finally it's a renew. Okay, so that is a new thing about it, is it not? So therefore, that so therefore, the essence of relationship between a disciple and a spiritual master is that when one renews, that renew. So when situations happen in life, what one should do? Renew the connection, the vision, the identity. Who am I? What am I supposed to do now? So that is the meaning of disciple, actually. And the official ceremony of initiation is just a kickoff. Right? But the meaning of initiation is renew. Renew the instructions again. Live it now. Now the situation is calling for action according to spiritual principles. We renew. We live it again. That's the meaning actually. Initiate it again. That's the meaning of initiation. Or a disciple. We initiate it again. We instantiate it again. Again. That means, yes, we are still a disciple. That means, yes, that connection with the spiritual master is there. So this is the meaning of a disciple, and therefore the setting of a spiritual master and disciple is a dynamic setting, and it's not a theoretical setting actually. It's not a theoretical setting. It's how much we relate with the spiritual master, the guru, in terms of what vision he is offering us, in terms of what platform he is offering us. And we strive to connect to that, to be able to tackle and handle the problems of this world. So that's why, if this is not so, then what was the point in discussing about this whole concept of taking shelter and surrender and a disciple and spiritual master on a ground of the battlefield which is asking for a calling? On the grounds when one is completely perplexed and the situation is completely overwhelming. So which means that this is the ground on which one can, this is the ground on which relationship with the spiritual master makes the greatest sense. So that means the relationship is very dynamic. The relationship is dynamic. It is not that by hearing lectures after lectures after lectures we develop relationship. Lectures are important. But then the lectures and what we hear, how much we relate with it, with the life situations, is what determines that how close we are going in our relationship, how deep we are going in our relationship with the spiritual master. And just to demonstrate this, we are seeing such a panoramic setting in which, just to demonstrate this, we are seeing such a panoramic setting in which there is a war field, everything is overwhelming, emotions are bursting out, and in this situation, Arjuna is telling, I surrender. Where is the instruction? What is the instruction? That's what Arjuna is saying. Right. So this is intelligence. Prabhupada says it behooves an intelligent man to take shelter of the spiritual master. It's just like, a soldier, when he sees that the enemy is attacking and the enemy's weapons are just about to overwhelm, and the soldier has to strike back, there is a calling. At that time, an intelligent soldier figures out what is the weapon which he should take out to counteract. Is it not? Not that he just goes, he just, surges and dashes, like somebody is challenging, he's showing a sword. Not that one just, one gets so much overwhelmed that it rushes to fight against it and forgets to carry his own weapon. Is it not? Just to get butchered. Right? That's the point actually. So therefore further he analyzes the situation and he sees, okay, what is the weapon which I should shoot with? Is it not? Therefore even today, the previous ages, the fighters, they would have different kinds of arrows. So they would really meditate and see which kind of arrow I should shoot now to counteract again this particular incident or this particular situation. So even today soldiers, they carry different types of weapons. Is it not? There's a small gun, there's short range gun, big range gun, they carry different type of weapons. They carry, they have bombs and guns. There's so many things they have, like that. Now, which one to use when is a discretion. Not that whatever is there with him, he just goes on with that. You see, that is the point. So this is intelligence, right? So which means actually that the instructions for the acharyas of the parampara, they are a very powerful weapon, and we should practice with it, and we should learn how to use it in our lives. Then we can become a fighter in this world. So we'll read the next verse. So now you see, okay, so the next verse. Nahi prapashyami mama panudyan yat shokam uchoshanam indriyana. It says chokam. So shokam, chokam. So shoka, shoka chokes. So from there shokam, chokam, yat shokam uchosanam indriyana abhapya bhuma asapat namritam rajam suranam apichadipattam. I can find no means to drive this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it. Even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on the earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. So here Acharyas explain that now Krishna is in a friendly mood. Therefore Krishna is not taking it seriously. Krishna is completely, he is waiting for the right moment. He is not all of a sudden, no. So here Krishna is saying, to Arjuna, the Acharyas explain, come on, Arjuna, what are you saying? You want guidance? Come on. Okay, you want guidance, you go to Vyasdev, why are you coming to me? And Krishna is telling, don't worry Arjuna, you can later go to first you fight and win, later you'll forget everything. Don't worry. So this is the import of the interaction between both of them. And then Arjuna is saying, no! Nothing can drive my grief. You see from where this emotion is coming. So Arjuna is quite serious in this moment. And Arjuna said, no, don't take me. Like somebody will say, okay, I surrender. Like that. Sometimes you get doubt. Really? Don't worry. Fine. But the person says, no, I'm really serious. Like that. So that is the kind of... So previously Arjuna is saying, Karpanya dosha pahata swabhava, and Krishna is saying, really? And Krishna is saying, ठीक है, ज़्यादा serious होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, है कि नहीं? Don't take it to this thing. But then Krishna, but then Arjuna, he is very serious. Arjuna is saying nothing to me. Nothing. I need. Nothing material is going to help me. Nothing material is going to help me. So that is what Arjuna is saying. So we see basically that our existence is actually three-dimensional. First, so the physical, second is emotional, and third is spiritual. So now what happens is that, and one dimension cannot solve the other dimension. Many times, so materialists, see, this is the problem with materialists. Therefore, materialists cannot even enjoy it, very nicely. There is a limitation to materialist people enjoyment also, because materialists only think in terms of physical. But the point is that if it is an emotional problem, it cannot be solved physically. A physical gratification cannot solve an emotional problem. Again, or a problem at the emotional level. So Arjuna is telling, now Krishna is telling, come on, what is this? Fight. You'll forget everything. You'll get a kingdom, you'll forget everything. And Arjuna is saying, no, Krishna, my problem is not physical. You see why Arjuna is saying that an unrivaled kingdom with sovereignty like the kings in heaven, that is also not going to help me. So what Arjuna is trying to impress is that my problem is not physical. There is no physical solution which can work. Empire, kingdom, sovereignty, nothing can work, because my problem is emotional. My problem is emotional. So Arjuna is saying that, yes. So he is recognizing both the things. He is saying that my problem is emotional. That means there is a problem and it is emotional. Like that. Many times people become emotional, but they don't see it as a problem. That is a problem. Arjuna is both. He is accepting that yes, my problem is emotional. And that is a point actually, that emotional problems can never be satisfied by physical solutions. Emotional problems can only be satisfied, either it is dealt with emotionally, which has its own limitations, but best if it is dealt with spiritually, because it is a superset of emotions. So emotional problems can be solved to some extent emotionally. Again, if somebody is in distress and we empathize with him, we need some courage, like that. Right? But then along with that, if there is a spiritual solution, like connecting to Krishna, so that makes it different. Just like when we get swayed up, we get tossed apart by emotions, then then very intimate relationship with devotees, they give us some solace and they give us some encouragement to move forward. And ultimately, because they are devotees and it's a circle of devotees, it projects us to taking shelter of Krishna. Which is what the whole setup of framework solves our emotional problems. So it's just like Srila Prabhupada describes in the section of Chitraketu Maharaj. And Chitraketu Maharaj was having the whole kingdom, he was not having a child. Actually, Chitraketu Maharaj, his problem was what? Emotional. It was not a physical problem much. Like he was having everything. He was having his wives, and he was having everything in the kingdom. Again, it was not Earth planet, it was a much bigger planet. Again, is it not? It was heavenly planet ruler. Again, and he was having everything, but then he was miserable. What was his problem? So in that case, now the kingdom was not making any sense to Chitraketu Maharaj. Now one may say, okay, enjoy karo na, aaram se raho, hai ki nahi? Itna bada kingdom, so much of sense gratification, be peaceful. Nahi hai child, koi baat nahi, kya pareshan? Enjoy. So, but that kingdom he was not able to relate to that, because that kingdom is physical gratification. And it is just like Prabhupada explains in the purport, that it is just like if a hungry man is offered garland, it doesn't make any sense to him. Again, a hungry man is offered some garland. He is hungry, he is burning in hunger, and he is getting tormented, and somebody is okay, take a garland. No? Doesn't make any sense to him actually. So similarly, Arjuna is pointing out that this, what solution you are saying, come on, fight, you will win, you will be peaceful, doesn't make any sense to me. Because my plane is different, actually. It's an emotional one. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport continues the mood, what was highlighted in the previous purport, that is about Guru. And Prabhupada, the whole purport is explaining the qualifications of Guru. The qualifications of Guru in this whole purport. So we will stop here. We will continue. So this week you're going to get two assignments. This chapter as we do one by one. Yeah. So this week two assignments coming up. Yeah. Tomorrow I will what is the assignment number? So we can start with one of them. Long answer questions. Right. So we'll meet again tomorrow 7:10. There you go. So the announcement is there is one announcement tomorrow also I will tell. The announcement is that next week we are not having a class on Wednesday. It is a change for a change. Instead of a class on Wednesday, we will have a class next week Saturday evening. Right? Saturday 7:45. It's a good option. Yeah. Otherwise, Friday evening. Sunday evening. Sunday evening is okay. Sunday evening is okay. Sunday evening. Sunday? Yeah. It's Monday, no? Next week. That only, that week only. 6th. So 6th evening, 7th morning? Okay, you take a vote and you decide and then we actually mostly 29th to 4th I am in KVP, that's why I am not taking the class because everyone returns by their or this duty, that's why. So 5th morning I will come back mostly. So we will decide. So we don't want to give it a holiday, we want to take a class but just a change of day. Okay, so you take a this thing. There you go.